My name is Teresa Katubig, and I'm the President and CEO of HireLevel. HireLevel is a workforce management company that services customers nationwide. We started working in the second chance hiring space about 5 years ago as the state of the workforce kept getting tighter and tighter. We now work in this space because we believe in second chance hiring, and this presentation today is to help you also believe in giving others a second chance. The challenge with a second chance hiring is always helping the C-suite, the management team, and even your workforce believe that this should be part of your diversity, equity, and inclusion program. So as we get started today, we're going to talk about what was COVID's impact on the workforce, the time to hire, layoffs, remote work, and lots of laid off individuals just taking a time out. The essential employee space was in high demand and workers were looking to learn a new skill or a new industry. Pre-COVID, US unemployment rate was hitting record lows, somewhere around 3.2%. During COVID, unemployment in the US hit a high of 14.8%. As of June of 2021, the unemployment rate is down to 5.9% and has been steadily decreasing since August of 2020. Many staffing companies are saying the unemployment rate among justice-involved individuals increased more than the general population, and hiring had slowed down. With fewer companies hiring, specifically in known record-friendly industries like restaurants and retail, second chance job seekers had more barriers to employment. As unemployment was on the rise during COVID, shortage of job seekers remained the same, and it not increased in many different roles. Those who wanted to work or felt safe working were indeed employed. From layoffs to increased remote work from home opportunities, COVID presented new challenges for all of us. The human resources team became more valuable to businesses than ever. As we get back to normal, we must tap into every avenue, even those less traveled. To have enough people in the workforce to maintain and grow business, do you know how much it costs your company every day when a position goes unfilled? Today's state of the workforce doesn't look too much different than it did pre-COVID. In fact, it's different. It's due to the increased severity of obstacles. Coming out of COVID, hiring demand is greater than the job-seeking demand. Time to fill is on the incline, and the skills gap is still there. And on top of that, everyone wants to work from home, but not everyone can offer work from home opportunities. How do we overcome these obstacles? As we just talked about, state of the workforce when it comes to pre-COVID, the majority of employers are still saying there's still huge skills gap with job candidates. Skill shortages have worsened in the past 2 years, and the talent gap is visible, especially in the trades, middle-skilled jobs, and high-tech industries such as STEM. Finding high-quality applicants with strong work ethic, teamwork, integrity, and someone that performs well under pressure is still a challenge. Again, I don't know about you, but finding good talent, and when we say good, we're not saying great. We are now hiring for culture fit, good work history, and just training up at HireLevel. As we talked about, the unemployment had record highs. General population today is about 5.9%, and unfortunately, justice-involved individuals are basically 5 times higher than the general population. So 27%, somewhere between 27 and 30%. We also see a huge gap between the general population and African American men and women, but the justice-involved population with African Americans is again 35% and a whopping 44% for the women that are African Americans. Again, how many people do you know that are unemployed? Not too many in my eyes. You know, as we talked about, unemployment hit a high of 14.8% during COVID, and now we're down to 5.9, and it's been steadily decreasing. But as you can see, justice-involved individuals still continue to have huge barriers to joining the workforce, and that African American community is affected the most. How can you make a difference in your community and improve the return on investment of your hires for your bottom line? I think the thing is most of us don't even understand the scope of the problem and really how many people are actually incarcerated here in the United States. You know, we have 2.3 million people that are incarcerated, and 650,000 people a year are released from prison. Of that, 75% of this group is still unemployed after 1 year. And the largest contributor to recidivism is not being employed. You know, how do we do that? Because I think the thing we all need to remember is that 95% of all incarcerated individuals will be released from prison to come back into our communities, and we need to help them find jobs and gainful employment. Did you know, again, 1 in 3 African American males has a felony? And that is just a staggering thought. According to the National Employment Law Project data, an estimated 42% of Illinois' 9.8 million adults has arrest records. The broader labor market suffers as well. When those with felony convictions or who have been incarcerated struggle to find jobs, the economy loses out on roughly 1.7 to 1.9 million workers and between $78 billion and $87 billion in gross domestic product. How much of that loss is yours in unfilled positions? 53% of HR professionals say they would be willing to hire individuals with criminal records, up just from 37% in 2018. Furthermore, HR professionals from organizations with 500 employees or more are 60% more likely to say they would be willing to hire individuals from this talent pool than HR professionals from organizations with less than 99 employees. What we know that nearly 1/3 of the adult population has a criminal record. Now, that does not mean that people have been in jail. It just means that they've had a misdemeanor or been charged with a crime at one time in their lives. 56% of professionals say they are unsure whether their organization hires people with criminal records. And an applicant with a criminal record is 50% likely to get, less likely to get a call back for a job offer. What can we do about that? As our workplaces try to be more inclusive, we must look to other demographics to recruit to fill open positions. As we look around our communities and try to make a difference by giving a hand up and not a handout, we must consider giving others that second chance. I have been in the HR industry for 25 years and have seen many companies with blanket no felony policies. Is that really the best approach? Did you realize that there are many things that contribute to a felony or misdemeanor conviction? Many individuals have a felony but have never served a day in prison. They or their family could not afford that attorney. Had one appointed, and after the plea, they think they are done and walking away. A felony stays on your record for at least 7 years, and many employers try to look back even further. We actually had a Fortune 500 company that we service, had a team member that was working in a call center. She had worked her 90 days and was being onboarded to go temp to hire at that client location. The company ran their background check and had a hit from 17 years ago. It was for bad checks that were being written. The employee was not hired due to this reason. My question to each of you as HR leaders is, why would this be a policy? How does a bad check from 17 years ago affect today's performance? We have to be advocates to get these types of outdated and unfair policies changed. We all need to remember that a job is the foundation to rehabilitation. Formerly incarcerated men are employed for 9 fewer weeks per year on average and earn 40% less than otherwise similarly never incarcerated men. That results in nearly $179,000 in lost earnings by the age of 48. An applicant with a criminal record is 50% less likely to get that call back, and I just talked about it, than the identical applicant without a record. And this effective hiring penalty increases twofold for Black applicants compared to white applicants. Employees with criminal records in the private sector, however, have longer average tenures than employees without records and are less likely to leave voluntarily and are no more likely to be terminated involuntarily. They actually stay longer at your job. I wanted to make sure, as you look at starting a second chance hiring program, that you also understand how it affects our own communities. As you can see from the statistics on the slide, it is the children in our communities that are affected on a daily basis with an absent parent, and also the stigma that comes with a parent being in prison. You know, it goes back to lack of family connections, homelessness, and being employed often set newly released inmates up for reoffending. And who again does that affect? It affects the children of the family. Setting children up for a life of poverty because their parent cannot support the household is something each of us need to consider as we are looking at our hiring practices. How do we give everyone a fighting chance for a hand up? As I said, a fair chance hiring. How do we as HR individuals really reduce barriers to employment? I think the thing is, you know, we've seen many laws come down the pike. We have banned the box, again, that required employers to remove the box where it said, do you ever have a felony? EEOC was updated in 2012. In 2018, the Trump administration rolled out second chance reauthorization. And then they also have the First Step Act of 2018. These are wonderful things, but it is just not enough. Some of the good things that are happening in Illinois and soon Missouri, they're working on expungement laws and helping those with nonviolent felonies to move forward with a clean slate. The state of Illinois just started to expunge 700,000 records of low-level cannabis. Illinois has also enacted a law that makes it very difficult for employers to have blanket felony policies. It mandates that anyone running a background check to look at each person as an individual. In Illinois, you're mandated by law to do this and can face lawsuits and fines if you do not. I personally see this happening across the nation in the future. Why not start this type of policy now and save your time and company money by just doing the right thing? As I reviewed the expungement process in Tennessee, there are also expungement clinics happening here too. We have many times attended these clinics looking to recruit and support the justice involved. Expungement is also a nationwide push for a more equitable justice system. Take the time to really look, and you can just Google expungement events locally. There are also organizations that set this up. You can speak to judges and attorneys in your areas about expungement events and how you can get involved. I think the thing that happens is when you're talking to employers or you're talking to the management team there at your business, it's really talking about, you know, the nature, time, and nature. Again, fair chance hiring. How are we screening candidates, and how are we looking at candidates with criminal records, and how do we target them to really join your workforce? Some of the things that really should be looked at: the nature of the job held or sought, the length of time that has passed since the offense, conduct, or completion of the sentence. And some of, again, as I talked to earlier, not everyone serves time. There could just be a fine. There could just be time served. It could be any of those things. But we really need to pay attention to the nature and the gravity of the offense or the conduct that happened. I think for me is, do you really believe that someone that's rolling lamination, is an auto part manufacturer, works in a call center, cannot do that job because they have, say, a felony drug conviction or a felony DUI? The first part of establishing a program is to look at your hiring practices. What barriers to employment can be removed by looking at each job and the background check requirement for those positions? We at HireLevel did just that when we started advocating on behalf of justice-involved individuals. We have many different internal positions, everything from recruitment, sales, and account management. As we were hiring for a position, and frankly, it does not matter which one, we had a person that we had made an offer to, and when their background check came back, there was felony. The felony was for a DUI. We then called this person and met with them in person to talk about one-on-one. What happened? What are you doing about it now? How can we help you be successful? And how will this affect the work? This person is still with us today because we absolutely kept up our end of the bargain, and they are a valued team member for the team at HireLevel. Getting the buy-in. Is second chance right for your company? Over half of the business leaders, 66% of HR, are willing to work with teammates who have criminal records. Are you ready to choose to hire? I think the thing is, I want to talk about, how do you get started? How do you sell this to the C-suite? And frankly, how do you sell this to the people that will be working side by side with justice-involved individuals? How do we talk about empathy for the person and not the record? Think again, 56% of individuals are unsure whether their organization hires people with criminal records. Can you make this a policy and look at it as for a referral type program? I think that, again, referring back to how do you get started? You need to consider the nature of the work and the relevancy of the certain offense. Address the stigmas and any possible risk with your team. Decide, is a program right for you? And will we just start with a policy update and get hiring? Connect with partners that know their resources and support levels. And of course, there are incentives and tax credits. I think the thing for us is, the top three I think is pretty easy, but it's number 4. What is a partner in the justice-involved space? There are many nonprofit organizations that specialize on getting people that are being let out of prison or even before they are released ready for society. They help set them up for success with a state-issued ID or driver's license, getting them somewhere to live, food stamps, health care, clothing, and even sometimes steel-toed boots. They also help educate on things like anger management, conflict resolution, and also just basic things like coming to work every day. At HireLevel, we find a partner in each of our markets to help support us in our Second Chance program. We are not social workers, counselors, even though sometimes in HR we can feel that way. We use these individuals at our strategic partner organization to work through things like transportation, missing time due to outside issues, and yes, things like they looked at me the wrong way and now I'm mad. We really work closely with our partners to help this person be a success. I want everyone to realize that a majority of where HireLevel works is in an essential employee space. And we have the above challenges that I just listed with all of our team members, not just the ones that are justice involved. And to point number 5, think the WOTC tax breaks, 25% tax credit on your first year's wages if the employee works at least 120 hours for you. This is a very generous benefit that HireLevel takes advantage of every year, and I sure hope your organization does too. There are many vendors out there that can help you with this, but if you want to hear more about kind of how do you set this up, feel free to message me and I can walk you through the steps because it's really quite easy. The last thing is bonding. So bonding comes, basically you file for it through the Employment Security or Unemployment Office in your area, but it's $5,000 for the first 6 months, and it's free to employers. HR professionals from the manufacturing, construction, and utility industry, as well as the retail trade, wholesale trade, transportation, warehousing, and other services industry, were the most likely to say they were willing to hire individuals with criminal records, with 61% from both groups indicating willingness. I hope that some of you are part of that, because it's very important that we all work together to help lower the unemployment rate for justice-involved individuals. One longitudinal study with Johns Hopkins on the initial application and making hiring decisions based on merit and the relevance of prior convictions to particular jobs, hired applicants with criminal records exhibited a lower turnover rate than those without. They hired hundreds of individuals to fill different positions within their organization. They kept track of their success. They kept track of were there more incidents or anything, and they basically came out saying there was no difference in the hiring. And if anything, the justice-involved individuals were more loyal, were more timely, and really bought into the culture at Johns Hopkins and were some of their biggest advocates. I think the thing is that slide is just here to support the why should you do this. Research based on 1.3 million United States military enlistees shows those with criminal records were promoted more quickly and to higher ranks than other enlistees, and had the same attrition rates due to poor performance as their peers without records. A study of job performance among call center employees found that individuals with criminal records had longer tenure and were less likely to quit than those without records. So again, a little more about the why should you make this happen. So many of you have probably reviewed the Getting Talent Back to Work survey from SHRM. And as it talks about that the quality of the hire is equal or greater to those that are just not justice involved. Again, I think that really understanding that the job performance is basically equal, potential for promotion, again, 77% approval, dependability, approval rating is 75%, and again, job retention, 72%. I think the thing is, when you look at these statistics and you look at what we're hiring without being justice involved, our numbers are not any better. We all know it's a huge challenge to be hiring right now, and I think the thing is opening up the door for those that are justice involved and helping them be loyal to your organization and really be a great fit is part of what we should be doing. As we talked about, you know, a fun story that I like to share, I had gone to a United Way event several years ago, and it was talking about second chance hiring. And at the event, they handed out this really nice brochure. It had all this literature that I'm kind of talking to you about today, all the statistics about recidivism and everything that's being done to help justice-involved individuals. And on the list of supporters were a lot of nonprofits and a ton of government agencies, education, things like that. But what really stood out to me is there was not one employer on the list. If you can educate all you want, you can support with a nonprofit all that you want, but if people do not have jobs, it really, the purpose of everything they're doing is really mute. So one of the things that we did, the HireLevel team, is we went to this organization and we said, let us be the first employer on that list. We're looking to help support you, and we're looking to make a difference in our communities. So at that event, some of the things that were kept being brought up are exactly this: the top reasons for reluctancy, legal liability, their customers, local, state, and federal regulations. And I think that all of those things are very we all agree they're all things that we get nervous about. But I think we have all these same challenges within the general population and with our current applicants that we have today. But as I look at, again, as we're getting sued for things all the time that we cannot control, how is this any different? Your customers should be your customers because of the inclusive culture that you have. How do you sell that to them? How do you let your customers know we are an inclusive culture and it's important to us? How do you show them the benefits of what you're doing is there to improve the communities and frankly, the customer experience that you're giving them to? The regulation thing is very real. We work with many companies that are under FDA rules, and they have contract regulations that will not permit them to hire people with felonies. This to me is a long-term fix as we use our voices when we see these contracts, that we advocate through that contract, through that organization on behalf of justice reform at the federal level for these exact things. If we aren't going to make a difference, I don't know who else will. So as we move on to the top reasons to hire, the leading reasons that managers and HR professionals alike extend job offers to workers with criminal records are hiring the best available candidate, which shouldn't that be why we do it in general? Giving a second chance. What a noble cause. But frankly, I think it should be because they're the best candidate for the position. And the last reason is, again, improving that community. Yes, again, a very noble cause, and we should all be working towards that. Because again, as we talked about how it affects the kids and how it affects justice-involved individuals as a whole. We need to be really looking at how can we train people up? How can we look to do that? You know, we right now are hiring the best candidate based on, again, their desire to work. It may not necessarily be the skill set, because we can work on selling the skill set. We need to really be working on how does that person fit into your culture and how do they improve that culture moving forward. So why should you choose to hire? I don't know about you, but boy, when we lose someone or we need to fill an open position, I'm looking now at the 40 to 60 days time frame, and I'm not sure that's long enough. Just to find good applicants at this time has been a huge challenge, much less they want to give a notice, which they should. And then they want to take a vacation maybe before they start, or something was already scheduled. So as we look to do that, I think really figuring out, can we hire someone faster? Can this person fill that spot that much quicker? Because an open position is very expensive for all of us. Again, increasing retention. When you look at increased retention, so I talked back to my person that is on our team that has the felony DUI. Again, loyalty, she gets it. She helps speak to this exact cause within our community. She sees passion. It is part of her why to sell to our customers and to show them the importance of advocating on behalf of justice-involved individuals. You know, prevent loss in productivity. Back to having open positions. It's very, very difficult when you have it. You know, we have open positions and it just brings morale down in other departments. It just affects everyone because they're working longer hours. They're working from home at night. They're working on the weekends. And those are things that at HireLevel especially, we do not want happening. We really want people working just their set hours and having a great work-life balance. To me, the best thing about all of it is really helping to support your diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. You know, we really feel like that this helps us bring things every single day back to the forefront, really helping us as a higher level community. We look to make a difference in our communities, and this is something that everyone can make as their why, as a recruiter, as an account manager, and selling to our customers. You know, retention among justice-involved individuals has been as much as 50% higher at some locations when you use good selection and you support them through our community partners. I was trying to, get a little more prepared and just really feel like I had all the information as I prepared for this today. And I was listening to 𝗚𝗺 Garcia on a podcast. And as she was talking about her organization, which is called Cornbread Hustle, what a fun name. She started the staffing company, and she's a justice-involved individual, and she is a drug addict and an alcoholic. So she checks a lot of boxes when it comes to diversity, inclusion, and helping others. So she really has made it her passion to help others that are just like her. When she supports communities, she takes a holistic approach, and that is the approach that HireLevel has really worked towards also. She talked about how you must work on all levels of that organization to get buy-in. You must support the team member on the floor, right? You've got to be able to help train the people they're working elbow to elbow with. You've got to make sure that you're checking in with them, that they are happy and that things are going well. It is really a commitment to inclusiveness that will help make this program a success. One of the things that HireLevel does do is provide a person that does this in the organizations. We have justice-involved individuals working. So we also take advantage of our community partners. They usually have business coaches that our employees are still part of. And if we have a challenge or we can't get hold of somebody or something's happening, then we also reach out to that business coach and have them help us support that person. I think the thing too that everyone begins thinking is that we're hiring people right out of prison, and that isn't going to fly within your organization. I get it. You can start small. When you have 1 in 3 individuals that have been justice involved in their lives, we cannot just think this is something we should ignore as HR professionals. We are a member of 𝗚𝗶𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗍, which we are a woman-owned business. And as I was talking about our Second Chance program with other companies and other HR individuals, I would say 75% of the people we spoke with knew someone in their close family that was justice involved. This 1 in 3 number is a very real number, and we need to all do something to make sure that we don't just run a background check, we tell the person no, and we move on. Think again, really understanding people make mistakes, and how do we help them get through that? We need people that are grateful. We're helping change their lives and breaking a cycle for their family. They're more than grateful to you to do that in your organization. I started really thinking about backgrounds when I started HireLevel 26 years ago. I'm from a very middle-class life and would see people being denied the opportunity to work for writing bad checks, too many traffic tickets, or for a misdemeanor drug charge. These things made me work hard and teach our recruiters to advocate on behalf of others to their clients. Getting started. How do you do that? Is second chance hiring right for your company? Only 34% of companies have a formal background policy. I think the first thing you have to do is get rid of that blanket no felony policy and expand your talent pools. Second chance individuals are ready to work. Are you ready to choose to hire? I think the thing is there's a lot of people that have informal policies, about 30% of people, over half the business leaders, and 66% of HR are willing to work with teammates who have criminal records. So why are we all still so hesitant? I think the main thing is we have to be willing to train our internal teams about second chance hiring. 49% of business leaders say organizations should offer training and guidance to facilitate transitions and re-entry to their work staff, yet only 8 to 9% of companies even have these programs. I think the first thing you have to do is create and communicate your policy with transparency. Tell others. Be willing to train. You know, HireLevel brought in a leadership coach last year to talk about empathy, to really work on conflict resolution with our teams. These are things you can do within your organization right there in your own communities. Both of these people that came to us were right here, or were based in one of our offices, and we brought our team in to all learn. And some of it was done even remotely. We did it through Zoom. That was Teams and Zoom, all in one, Zoom. So use any of those resources to help you just get the word out. Build partnerships with second chance leaders. You know, I think the thing is really looking at what are the nonprofits in your area. There are some. I'm happy to help you if you message me, and we can help look together to find those partners to help you grow your programs. Use job boards specific to justice involves job seekers. They're out there. We have a list for you here shortly. Participate in second chance centric events like fair chance job fairs. The local universities have them. Again, expungement events. There's all kinds of different things. Just Google it. Use inclusive job language. Remove things like you need, 3 to 5 years of college. Remove things in some of these where that isn't really what you need. You really need experience, you really need attitude, and you really need someone who's just willing to come to work every day. Say second chance individuals or justice involved instead of criminals or felons. Really make it so we're not putting such a stigma, even within our own workplaces, talking about, oh, they have a felony, oh, they have these things. Really taking the chance to say the words justice involved, because I think really understanding that it is hurtful language. I know it may be very true, but we have to really look at it starts with us. And again, host your very own fair chance job fair. There's nothing wrong with setting that up, running those ads, putting it out on Facebook, and really taking the time necessary to understand. Really looking at your interview questions and saying, is this going to make sense for a justice involved job fair? Asking about work history. Is it more important to talk about where are they from? Where would they like to go? What kind of career path are they looking for? And how do you help them get there? As I talked about, support along the way. It is scary. It really is scary. I think the thing is the fidelity bonding is out there. And again, we are happy to help you protect your own business, but it is out there. It is a free service that comes through the state unemployment office. WOTC credit is a form that you can fill out and send in to your state-specific location. And there are many community partners here locally and in other markets. Some of them are Volunteers of America and Brothers Keepers to help you get people in your doors that that are justice involved and that you can interview to go to work. I've added a slide here that talks about some ideas of where to go. I think the thing for all of us, depending on the market you're in, the level of what you're looking to do, how do you do that? I mean, we go as far as we work with parole officers. We have halfway houses that pretty well, as they have new people coming in, they automatically send them to us to one. We may not have jobs every day, but that way it gets them the practice of applying online, coming in and doing an interview. We know that these people are from these the halfway house, and we help them really work towards just getting the skills necessary to be successful. When you look down, you can use a company such as HireLevel or the what I just say, the cornbread company. They are really looking for ways to help others and get them in the door, so that way you can then hire them at that end of their term. I think the thing is, like I said, we've got lots of different lists here. I don't want to read those to you. Just so you know, the Department of Labor, through a reentry employment opportunity program, They distributed $85.5 million in grants to organizations to help reduce barriers to employment, training, and secure employment for justice-involved individuals. We have it's called MantraCon, which is in Southern Illinois. They are a government-sponsored program that helps roll these programs out. I'm sure in your area, they're there, and we would be happy to help you find some of those. You can also find grantee organizations through the National Reentry Resource Center or the Department of Labor online. Did you know there's actually job boards dedicated to connecting employers with second chance job seekers? Here they are. We've listed those for you. We, again, use these besides our community partners, expungement events, and referrals from halfway houses in our local communities. The thing that I always like to talk about is, what is our why? Why did we choose to hire? Why did we really make this a priority within our organization and in all of our offices? As I mentioned earlier, HireLevel started in 1995, but what I didn't talk about was the fact that I was a single mother with 2 children. I had a baby at 17 years old and worked at McDonald's for 10 years. Now, during those 10 years at McDonald's, I worked my way up from cashier to Hamburger University and became a store manager. Hard work does pay off, and I started my business on a credit card and a prayer. If I had made a mistake during any of these times in my life, it could have changed it forever. Making sure that the team of HireLevel is working to give that hand up is part of the core of our culture. Think about a story about a felon that might work in your organization. How did that work out? If not, think about a family member that maybe is struggling to find work. How can you help them, and how can you change your, go within your own organization to make things better? As we are coming to a close, I think there are many things that we need to consider. One is, how do open positions hinder the growth of your organization? What is the culture currently like at your company? Is it working on diversity, equity, and inclusion? Are those a core to your culture? Is turnover higher than it should be? What are those questions that you should be considering during this time? What is your biggest concern in choosing to hire? What is it your responsibility to your community that you do business in? Is excluding reentry individuals in line with your company's mission? Again, why should you choose to hire? Many people are not career criminals. Many people have made a single mistake. Should we just throw the baby out with the bathwater? We on many occasions have seen where, we have a drug conviction from 5 years ago. Did that really affect anything? Is that assault from, again, 5, 6 years ago? We all talk about violence. Was it a bar fight when I was 20? We need to really look at and ask questions of each and every individual as they come through your door and you run those background checks, and really figure out, who is this person and can I make a difference in their lives? There are many non-violent crimes. Again, possession of marijuana, DUI, passing bad checks. The list goes on and on. Even that when you look at, maybe not paying child support, some of that stuff. Someone may be just trying to get their life back together. How do we help them do that? You're breaking cycles for families when you do that, when you take that time, or you train your team to take that time to do that. You have dedicated team members that will join your team that are going to say, thank you for helping me. Thank you for believing me. And I think the thing is, and all these things, you can go out to SHRM, you can go out to many, many websites. As I said, I was listening to podcasts earlier about just second chance hiring, justice-involved individuals, and the difference that jobs make in their lives. They're all out there. And it's very uplifting and promising when you hear about these things. So it's great that you're listening to me today, but I wouldn't stop my research there. What choice will you make? You choose not to hire, right? You have unfilled positions, lost productivity, increased recruiting cost, training is, whatever. And then you've got, you have onboarding expenses because they're not there. When you choose to hire, you eliminate barriers to employment. You fill your open positions. You increase retention in your company. You reduce recidivism in your community. You own the impact that you and your company have on the communities that we live in. And we get to hire with a purpose and really say to our other team members and to our organizations, we practice what we preach every day. I really appreciate your time today. And if you have any questions, my email is on the last slide. So feel free to reach out to me at any time. We love to help others start second chance programs. And again, if you have other questions about how do we make it work or anything I've talked about, please feel free to reach out and we will be happy to help. Thank you and have a really great day.